The two announcements released by Emgrand Group completely shook the entire Aarhus Hill like a high-magnitude earthquake. When the Wilson family learned about the ownership change in Emgrand Group, they figured out why the collaboration with the White family had been terminated. It seemed that Emgrand's new owner didn't think much of the White family. Back to the point, who was Mr. Wade? He simply bought Emgrand Group that was worth hundreds of billions of dollars without batting an eye. He was a little too powerful, wasn't he? Even the richest man in Aarhus Hill wouldn't be so generous. All of a sudden, a lot of wealthy families were about to eagerly make a move. They wished to establish a connection with the mysterious Mr. Wade while on the other hand wished to marry their daughter to him. Moreover, the announcement about Emgrand Group's investment of $2 billion for the hotel construction project also shook the construction and interior decorating industries in Aarhus Hill like a great force surging the ground. $2 billion. They could make a lot of money even tendering scraps of the project. A lot of companies wanted a slice of the lucrative pie, including Lady Wilson, who loved money more than anything. Lady Wilson was over the moon at the moment. $2 billion project. This was the perfect opportunity for the Wilson family to get a contract from the mega project. It would bring their family to the next level. Hence, she called for an urgent family meeting at the mansion tonight to discuss ways to achieve a breakthrough in Emgrand Group's mega project. Everyone had to attend. Later that night, at the Wilson family mansion, Charlie tagged along since Lady Wilson had asked for everyone's participation. He knew about the old lady's main agenda of the meeting, so he wanted to take this opportunity to boost Claire's confidence. When Harold, Claire's cousin, saw him at the mansion, he mocked disdainfully, D***mn. "Charlie Wade, you're very shameless. Where did you find your courage to see Grandma now?" With an indifferent expression on her face, Claire uttered, "Stop your nonsense. Grandma asked everyone in the Wilson family to come. Charlie is my husband, so of course he is a member of the Wilson family too." Harold laughed sarcastically. "He is part of the Wilson family? Haha. He is nothing but a live-in son-in-law." Charlie rubbed his nose in slight agitation and said to Claire, "Dear, just let him be, don't argue with him. Let's go in quick, Grandma is waiting for everyone." Claire nodded and walked into the house without batting an eye at Harold. Harold's face twisted in an irritated grimace, anticipating their embarrassment later. After entering the meeting room, Charlie and Claire found a place to sit in the corner. Very soon, Lady Wilson made a great entrance and the family meeting officially began. Lady Wilson sat on the head of the table. She knocked on the table and started cheerfully, "We, the Wilson family, have been waiting for a chance like this for so many years. A chance that will bring us to the next level, to the peak of the social pyramid in Aarhus Hill. The chance is finally here now." She continued loudly, "This time, Emgrand Group has announced a mega project of $2 billion. If anyone can tender a project from it, it will bring great and lucrative benefits. Moreover, this is Emgrand Group's first major project after its change of ownership. It is a great opportunity for us. If we can collaborate with Emgrand Group and leave a good impression on the new chairman, we will become very powerful and prominent in the future." The attendees were rather indifferent and unpassionate as compared to Lady Wilson's enthusiasm. In fact, it wasn't anything new for the Wilson family wanting to collaborate with Emgrand Group. However, for the longest time, Emgrand Group had ignored the Wilson family's request. What made Lady Wilson think that they could get a slice of the mega pie from them now? It was impossible. Annoyed by the silence, Lady Wilson's face flushed with anger and she shouted furiously, "Why? Are you all dumb now? Do none of you have any confidence in taking a tiny slice of pie from the $2 billion project?" Everyone exchanged nervous glances but no one dared to talk. Lady Wilson was getting more agitated now. She gritted her teeth and growled, "All of you listen to me. Whoever able to get a $30 million deal from the Emgrand Group will be made the director of our company." Everyone's jaws dropped to the floor as if a bomb exploded in the room. Lady Wilson ruled the family and the company with an iron fist, so she had never once appointed a director in the company. After all, a director would have a lot of power in his hands that most of the time, only the future successor of the company would be qualified to hold the position. Now that she used the position as a reward, she must have hoped that she would find someone to do the job with the lucrative reward. It was certain that she was extremely eager for the project. Although the reward was very attractive, it was not an easy task to accomplish. To strike a deal with Emgrand Group and even get a $30 million contract from it? It was the joke of the century in the eyes of the Wilson family members. Even if Lady Wilson herself went to talk to them, the executives wouldn't even see her, let alone talk about a collaboration. The conference hall was as quiet as a church. Lady Wilson slammed the table furiously and shouted, "All of you are descendants of the Wilson family. Can't any one of you solve the problem for your family?" Then, she turned and looked at Harold. "Harold, I'll pass this job to you." Harold managed a bitter laugh and quickly said, "Grandma, even the White family has been kicked out by Emgrand Group. Our family is a level lower than they are. How can we strike a deal with Emgrand?" Lady Wilson chided indignantly, "Rubbish. How dare you deny yourself before you even try? You are even more hopeless than the loser Charlie." Actually, Lady Wilson had no confidence in this either, but she didn't want to be the head of a family that was always at the second or third level of the social pyramid. She wanted the Wilson family to climb a rung higher even in her dreams. Emgrand Group's mega-project was her only chance to make her dream come true now. Therefore, she would not give up even if it was difficult. She thought that as the eldest grandson, Harold, would accept the task willingly, but unexpectedly, he had refused right in her face. Harold felt dejected and depressed as well. No one in their right mind would accept this impossible task. He was certain that he would be kicked out immediately even before he could walk through Emgrand Group's door. At that time, not only would he fail on the task but he would also be ridiculed and mocked for his failure. That was why he could never agree with his grandmother's order no matter what. Lady Wilson glared at the rest of the crowd and shouted loudly, "What about the rest of you? Is there no one who would dare take on this challenge?" At this moment, Charlie nudged Claire with his elbow and whispered, "Darling, accept the mission." Claire shrieked in surprise, "Are you crazy? It is impossible for Emgrand Group to collaborate with a small company like us." Charlie smiled lightly and said confidently, "Don't worry, you'll definitely strike the deal." Claire's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure?" Charlie nodded seriously and said, "Of course. I don't think you have any problems at all. Trust me, seize the opportunity. Your status in the Wilson family will shoot up in the future." Claire couldn't explain why, but it was as if she was hypnotized by Charlie's words. She stood up before she could digest what he said and said to Lady Wilson, "Grandma, I'm willing to give it a shot." Claire's announcement sent a shockwave across the room, making everyone gape in extreme surprise. Everyone thought that Claire must be out of her mind. It was the worst time to stand under the limelight now. Other than failing miserably, there's nothing else she could achieve. Emgrand Group was the largest company in Orus Hill and the Wilson family was nothing more than an insignificant ant to them. Whoever took the challenge would only end up failing. Harold couldn't help but mock sarcastically, "Claire, do you really think you can get a deal from Emgrand Group?" Wendy continued in the same mocking tone after her brother, "Claire, who do you think you are? What do you think Emgrand Group is? You being so reckless and irrational will only humiliate us, the Wilson family." Someone else added, "Wendy is right. If she is kicked out by Emgrand Group, our family will be a laughingstock in Orus Hill." Blood rushed to Claire's face and she felt her face burning in embarrassment. Her status in the family had plummeted since she married Charlie. Not only did the family members ignore her and elbow her aside but they also derided her parents. She felt that if she could strike that deal with Emgrand Group, she could consolidate her position in the family. The most important thing was that her parents could also stand up tall and be proud of who they were. But under the sarcastic comments and condemnation, she wanted to withdraw herself from her silly idea. She glared at Charlie in annoyance. How did he bewitch her and why did she listen to him? She shouldn't have made such a silly suggestion in the first place. Lady Wilson was very angry as she listened to the audience's verbal exchanges. No one dared to accept the task after she asked several times. Now that Claire courageously stood up to take the challenge, these people started ridiculing her. Lady Wilson had always disliked Claire, but at this moment, she was glad that Claire was at least willing to walk the impossible talk, unlike the rest of the members who were only good at giving her trouble. Especially her favorite grandson, Harold. He was such a disappointment. Because of this, Lady Wilson's attitude towards Claire changed a lot. She said immediately, "Stop your nonsense, you cowards. I'll pass the task of striking a deal with Emgrand Group to Claire." Sheepishly, Claire mumbled, "Don't worry, Grandma, I'll try my best." Harold puffed a breath from his nose and sneered coldly, "You try your best, and then what? You'll embarrass us when you fail later." Charlie asked in a mocking tone, "Harold Wilson, why do you taunt Claire like that? Do you think that the Wilson family is not qualified to collaborate with Emgrand Group?" Harold had never expected that the loser Charlie Wade dared to speak up during the family meeting, not to mention in such a high-horse manner. Seeing the fury slowly burning on Lady Wilson's face, he quickly explained, "No, I don't mean it like that, I just think it is impossible for Claire to strike the deal. That's all." Charlie laughed in amusement and asked, "What if she succeeds? Should we make a bet?" Harold grinned coyly. "Okay, let's bet then. Do you think I'm scared of your little threat? What do you want to bet? Let's hear you out." Charlie said, "If Claire succeeds, you will grovel at my feet and admit that you're wrong in front of everyone. If she fails, I will grovel at your feet and admit that I'm wrong. What do you think?" "Ha ha ha." Harold laughed out loud. "You're really digging your own grave, loser." "All right, I'll take the bet." Charlie nodded with satisfaction and uttered, "Everyone, all of you are our witnesses. Whoever goes back on the bet would have his father, mother, grandpa, and grandma die." He intentionally emphasized the word, grandma, loudly and clearly, for he didn't want Harold to break their promise after he lost. Harold wouldn't dare to go back on his words after such a statement. If he did repent, he would be cursing his grandmother, Lady Wilson, to die. Lady Wilson would not let him off the hook so easily. Okay. Harold thought that he was on the winning side, but what Harold didn't know was that he was jumping right into Charlie's trap. He laughed loudly and said, "Everyone, you'll be my witness, I'll wait for you to kneel before me." Claire was startled by the entire event that she kept signaling to Charlie with her eyes, but he turned a blind eye to her. Lady Wilson couldn't care less about the bet. Her only concern was whether the Wilson Group could take a spot in Emgrand Group's collaboration list. If the deal was on, she wouldn't even mind if Harold called Charlie his daddy, let alone kneel before him. Thus, she said calmly, "Okay, that's all for today. Claire, you have 3 days to negotiate and strike the deal." Dismiss. ****. After returning home, Claire's parents threw a fist at the young couple. Claire's mother, Elaine Wilson, paced the living room agitatedly and said, "Claire, you're crazy. How could you listen to the loser and accept the task without thinking it through?" Claire's father, Jacob Wilson, turned to Charlie and chided, "Charlie, you hopeless loser. You've pushed my darling daughter right into the grave this time." His face flushed and red as he continued, "If Claire fails this time, she will be elbowed by the rest of the family, and you'll have to bow to Harold like a peasant in front of the whole family. My dignity will be ruined." Charlie said earnestly, "Dad, Mom, everything will be all right if Claire succeeds in the negotiation and strikes the deal, am I right? Negotiate my A**s. Jacob growled furiously, "Do you have any idea how powerful Emgrand Group is? They won't even bat an eye at the mediocre Wilson family." Charlie said with a smile, "Maybe someone will bat an eye at us, you don't know that. Honestly, I have confidence in Claire. I think Claire will strike the deal easily." Elaine sneered scornfully. "You think? Who are you? Do you think you are the owner of Emgrand Group? You are nothing but a loser, a piece of trash. How do you dare be so ignorant and confident?"